Welcome again to Travels with Monkey Boy. I have recently come back from Ireland and I'm going to take you on my trip day by day, of course, starting with day one. So, into every adventure, one must plan a little bit of madness. In our trip to Ireland, I decided to front load the madness. Imagine, if you will, that you're up all day. Then at 7 p.m., you take a 3 hour flight, then have a 4 hour layover, followed by a 13-hour flight. Okay. Normal trip to this point, but basically awake for nearly 40 hours. Then you land in the third most stressful city in Europe to drive in, Zagreb and Vienna. I'm looking at you. You rent a car whose steering wheel is on the wrong side of the car, and then you drive into Dublin at 8 a.m., rush hour, trying to figure out why the roads are on the wrong side as well, and then spend the next 5 days circumnavigating the island. Of course, it would get easier each day as you figure out the rhythm of driving on the other side, but day one, crazy. Okay. Day one, we decided that the degree of difficulty wasn't high enough. So Danielle, having lost her brand new raincoat or having it stolen, my bottle of scotch was also stolen from our suitcases when they were coming to China. And it seems a woman's raincoat would be a nice place to hide a bottle of scotch, but it was gone. And this being Ireland, she needed a new one. Ridiculously relying on Google, we were told that the best sporting goods store in Dublin opened at 9 a.m. We picked up our beautiful daughter Lizzy at Trinity College, more on this later, and drive to the most crowded shopping street in Dublin, arriving at exactly 9 a.m. With our plan being, I would drop them off and just drive around downtown in circles, no parking anywhere in the whole city, until they secured the code. So I drove around in the most stressful area of the most stressful city at the most stressful time in an unfamiliar car, driving on the wrong side of the road without sleep for nearly 2 days, and around and around and around. The store didn't open until 9:30, and while they secured the raincoat pretty quickly, still it was 45 minutes of unknown terror for the poor pedestrians, bicyclists, buses, trucks, and cars of downtown Dublin, blithely unaware of how lucky I was to, how likely it was that I was going to accidentally kill them. Thankfully, we survived that. And as the day had just begun, we decided, and who am I fooling? Everything was meticulously planned, to drive 2 hours north of Dublin on the highway system, as more speed will increase the degree of difficulty, until we reached an entirely new country. I've been to Ireland before, and in fact took a similar trip 25 years before with Alex and Frankie. The two must-see geologic wonders of the Emerald Islands are the Giant's Causeway in the far northeast and the Cliffs of Moher in the west. As Dublin is the southeast, to see the two things required pretty much circling the island. But let's face it, geologic wonders aren't Disney World. I mean, so much better, but not filling 14 hours a day standing in line. So how do you fill your day? Well, the thing about Ireland is it's all fantastically beautiful. We just needed a theme. And I took the lazy way and went to many of the filming locations from Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones was filmed in Northern Ireland, part of the UK, and I figured the locals knew the most beautiful spots more than me. So I just checked out Game of Thrones filming locations, put them on a map between Dublin, Giant's Causeway, and the Cliffs, and we had our itinerary. The drive to Northern Ireland was only interesting in one instance. No border crossing of any kind. 25 years ago, it was like crossing between US and Canada. Fairly simple, but legitimate border check. Now it's like going between Kansas and Nebraska without even the welcome to Nebraska sign. It was a little bit strange as the currency changed without us really knowing. We had euros, but no pounds, which proved only slightly irritating as everyone now takes credit cards. Our first stop was Castle Ward. You've probably never heard of Castle Ward, but it is famous for two reasons. One is its crazy founders. It was built in the 1760s by the Viscount Bangor. Viscount is a British title above a baron, but below an earl. Those Brits and their titles. but the Viscount and his wife couldn't agree on a style, so half of the house is Palladian style, like Buckingham Palace, with pillars topped by a big ornate triangle. The back half is Georgian Gothic with pointed windows and embattlements. Inside, it's half and half as well, with frilly girly parts and the batshit crazy guys parts. Apparently, husbands and wives 250 years ago couldn't agree on anything either. We had a very nice tour of the interior, but I was drawn to the crazy rooms. One of them had a series of 5 display cases with taxidermized squirrels boxing and a bear holding a serving tray. Apparently, weird taxidermy was a thing in the mid-Victorian era, and honestly, if I was a Viscount in a time when people weren't so sensitive about killing animals for a laugh, I'd probably have commissioned some silly rabbit display. While we were touring the grounds of Castle Ward, there were a couple of cows that broke into the estate grounds from the fields beyond, and great theater followed as the workers were chasing the cows across the well-manicured lawns in front of the castle. We tried to get a picture close to the runaway cows, but the workers got quite cross at us. Anyway, the reason we chose to visit Castle Ward was that following a pleasant walk through the woods, you arrive at the estate's old farmyard, which was the filming location for Winterfell in the TV series Game of Thrones, which we had all loved. It was a little bit disappointing as the use of CGI was about 75% of Winterfell, so you have to squint pretty hard to recognize anything. Still familiar enough and a fun look behind this scenes at filmmaking. After the castle, we had lunch in Strangford and took the Strangford Portaferry Loch Ferry, which was a 35-minute wait for a 5-minute ferry ride between the two cities. Our Airbnb was in Ballyhalbert, which is the easternmost city on the island. You can easily see the Isle of Man and the coast of Scotland from our bedroom window. It's crazy how close together Ireland and Scotland are, 12 miles at the narrowest, yet never a bridge. There are many bridges in the world much longer than 12 miles, so why are these two parts of the UK not connected by a bridge or a tunnel? Well, this was actually a big part of Boris Johnson, the recent Prime Minister of UK's infrastructure plan. They did a research paper on the issue and found at the narrowest point between Scotland and Ireland, the North Channel of the Irish Sea is 500 feet deep, making a tunnel or bridge super expensive to build. Johnson lost the election and the study went into the bin. We had a nice walk along the Irish Sea in Ballyhalbert. As the sun was setting, following a flock of large crows, we stumbled upon an old cemetery and wandered around the 200-year-old graves, mostly commemorating sailors lost at sea. A fitting way to end the day. Okay, now I'm going to show you where we went to sea. And let us start with our map. Here we are in Chengdu again. The Quinlan Mountains to our west. We fly up to Beijing, and then we fly across the world till we get to Dublin. There we go. Let's straighten this out a bit. And here we are in Dublin. Lizzy and Trinity College are right downtown. We picked her up. I circled around and around, and then we headed north on the highway, north and north and north, until we got to, and so you can see on the map, we're all the way, the Northern Ireland is right about here and up. And here is Castle Ward. And this is the little area from Strangford over to Portaferry, where we took the ferry. And then we drove up until we got to Ballyhalbert Bay. And it was right here where we stayed. I think this was our guest house right here. Here's the easternmost point of Ireland. And as you can see, Isle of Man down here and the coast of Scotland just a stone's throw away. Okay. And let me get you to the pictures. Here's your beloved tour guide. There's Lizzy and Danielle at the Castle Ward. There's Lizzy. You could see the cows in the background. Two of them broke out. They came running around right behind us. In fact, I think this might be one of the free cows. Here's one of the display cases. It's nature is so beautiful, and they took these beautiful, beautiful birds and they killed them and put them under glass. God love man. Here is the crazy boxing scenes between the squirrels. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 squirrels were killed for the enjoyment of this man. And here is the bear, stuffed bear with the serving tray. Is everything in the room was crazy. Here's Lizzy in front of the Victorian era medicine cabinet with all sorts of crazy medicines. There's the ladies entering a tunnel that takes us through the woods. Here's Danielle against a gorgeous tree. And here we are in Winterfell. There's Danielle in front of this is basically the silo where they put the oats, but it looks very much like a castle. And here's the Game of Thrones, where you can see this actual shot from Game of Thrones, where you can see that. Anyway, that's all I have to report for day one. Stay tuned for day two coming up pretty soon. Talk to you later. Oh, you like my cap? That's what me and the lads wear in Ireland. Okay, bye.